letter stayed and stayed, week in and week out, till the bare sight of it gave him a conniption. The postage wasn't paid on it, and that was another thing to worry about. There wasn't any way to collect that 10 cents, and he reckoned the government would hold him responsible for it and maybe turn him out besides when they found he hadn't collected it. Well, at last he couldn't stand it any longer. He couldn't sleep nights, he couldn't eat. He was thinned down to a shatter, yet he doesn't ask anybody's advice, for the very person he asked for advice might go back on him and let the government know about the letter. He had the letter buried under the floor, but that did no good. If he happened to see a person standing over the place, it'd give him the cold shivers and loaded him up with suspicions, and he would sit up that night till the town was still and dark, and then he would sneak there and get it out and bury it in another place. Of course, people got to avoiding him and shaking their heads and whispering, because the way he was looking and acting, they judged he had killed somebody or done something terrible, they didn't know what, and if he had been a stranger, they would have lynched him. Well, as I was saying, it got so he couldn't stand it any longer, so he made up his mind to pull out for Washington and just go to the President of the United States and make a clean breast of the whole thing, not keeping back an atom, and then fetch the letter out and lay it before the whole government and say, "Now there she is. Do with me what you're a mind to. Though as heaven is my judge, I'm an innocent man and not deserving of the full penalties of the law, and leaving behind me a family that must starve and yet hadn't had a thing to do with it, which is the whole truth, and I can swear to it." So he did it. He had a wee little bit of steamboating and some stagecoaching, but all the rest of the way was horseback, and it took him 3 weeks to get to Washington. He saw lots of land and lots of villages and 4 cities. He was gone most 8 weeks, and there never was such a proud man in the village as when he got back. His travels made him the greatest man in all that region, and the most talked about, and people come from as much as 30 miles back in the country, and from over in the Illinois bottoms, too, just to look at him. And there they'd stand and gawk, and he'd gabble. You never see anything like it. Well, there wasn't any way now to settle which was the greatest traveler. Some said it was Nat, some said it was Tom. Everybody allowed that Nat had seen the most longitude, but they had to give in that whatever Tom was short in longitude, he had made up in latitude and climate. It was about a standoff. So both of them had to whoop up their dangerous adventures and try to get ahead that way. That bullet wound in Tom's leg was a tough thing for Nat Parsons to buck against, but he bucked the best he could, and at a disadvantage, too, for Tom didn't set still as he'd ordered done, to be fair, but always got up and sauntered around and worked his limp, while Nat was painting up the adventure that he had in Washington. For Tom never let go that limp when his leg got well, but practiced it nights at home, and kept it good as new right along. Nat's adventure was like this. I don't know how true it is. Maybe he got it out of a paper or somewhere. But I will say this for him, that he did know how to tell it. He could make anybody's flesh crawl, and he'd turn pale and hold his breath when he told it. And sometimes women and girls got so faint they couldn't stick it out. Well, it was this way, as near as I can remember. He come a-loping into Washington and put up his horse and shoved out to the president's house with his letter, and they told him the president was up to the Capitol and just going to start for Philadelphia. Not a minute to lose if he wanted to catch him. And that most dropped, it made him so sick. His horse was put up, and he didn't know what to do. But just then along comes a darky driving an old ramshackly hack, and he see his chance. He rushes out and shouts, $50 if you get me to the Capitol in half an hour, and a quarter extra if you do it in 20 minutes. Done, says the darky. Nat, he jumped in and slammed the door, and away they went a-ripping and a-tearing over the roughest road a body ever see.